Hey everyone, it's Shawn. Welcome. We are doing a series on the power in partnerships. Joining me today in just a minute, we'll bring up on screen Todd Saylor. Todd's been very successful in business. He now speaks on Wired differently, bringing a lot of those principles that have made his businesses so successful to other business owners and individuals, people that want to really express themselves, capitalize on their uniqueness. Has a great book in that line, does the live presentations. Today, I've invited him on the show to talk about partnerships because we're going to do a series on partnerships. And what I've asked Todd to talk about, and we'll get into it, is really what he's learned, because I think partnerships are a powerful tool, but they are also a challenge. And we're using Todd's title, Until Death Do You Apart. There's Todd laughing. Let me bring him up on the screen here. Let's share the screen here. Because it is that way in a partnership, right? You're together in a way, but you're also apart in a way. There's a natural tension between the partners. And, a lot of people, Todd, they ignore that, right? They just pretend like everything's going to be fine and we're just going to go in here and everything's going to be great. And I've dealt with them a lot on the legal side because it usually hits a problem at some point, right? It's great for a while until one day you find out you disagree on some major decision, you have different life events, et cetera, right? And it's only the partners, usually partners that have been in other partnerships, that say, hey, let's plan this out and let's think about the eventuality of we may disagree in the future. So what's been your experience? I mean, this is a great title. You're together and you're apart while you're in a partnership, right? There's always that tension.
Yeah.
What's your experience?
Well, thanks for having me on the show. It's always a thrill. My goal is to be the Alec Baldwin of our Shawn shows.
Yes.
Now, I don't particularly agree with Alec Baldwin's political front, like none of it. Yeah. But he is the most reoccurring guest on Saturday Night Live. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So you're laughing. Now you're really laughing because I want to be the most reoccurring. I want to be. I'm not going to say favorite guest because I know you got a lot of people that love you, and you can't show favoritism.
Yeah.
You can just do one of these.
Well, I went to the.
Give me the wink.
When you were talking about Alec Baldwin, I went to the steak knives. Well, first prize is Cadillac, second prize is a steak knife, third prize you're fired.
You're fired. What was that? What was that movie?
Glengarry Glen Ross.
So there's no question he's a great actor.
Right.
Okay. Well, there could be some question there, but he sucks as Donald Trump, so he's out of here in that regard. Yeah. But the guy is he's a survivor in the industry, and we should all he's definitely wired differently. He's just politically different than my wired differently. But so why are we talking about that guy? So let's talk about me, my favorite subject.
Awesome.
So I came up with that title. You called me. The story was, hey, you want to do the show? I'm going to do it on partnerships. And you're like, hey, okay. I'm like, I'm always yes first, then ask what we're going to do later. Sure. And then you said it's on partnerships. You got a good title, and you kind of chuckled. I said, of course, until death do us apart. And we both chuckled. And then sure enough, I get this phone call. Hey, let's do that show. Let's go live. And so
there it is.
So everybody has to understand, like, when you go live with Shawn, it's like, hey, let's go live. So you have to stop everything in your life and set up your studio. I had to sit.
We picked a time and date in advance.
Yeah, but I forget those.
Okay.
And then I'm on the beach right now, so I had to get lighting out there. And the sun wasn't right, and I had to get the right. You know how it is with my head, Shawn. Everybody's.
I'm getting there, man. I'm getting there.
I know, small talk, but you know what I'm trying to do right here with what I'm saying to you and how we're getting along.
Yep.
We're partners.
Yeah, we're partners for the show, right? We do content together, we do some events together now.
Yeah, a little lesson in partnership and how it can work.
Right.
Shawn and I are partners. Now, there's no legal documents in place for us to be partners. I'm sure I wouldn't be afraid of that with Shawn. But we're partners. And so there's a lot of different type of partners out there in this world, but the one that came to my mind was my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I entitled. I mean, it's the only real partnership I've ever survived in. So until death do us part. And I was just thinking that I'm against partnerships. In some regards, and we'll talk about that. Mm-hmm. But I was just thinking, whether it's a marriage of matrimony or a marriage in business, which one is more definite?
Well, it's almost a scale, right? I mean, there's a lot of talk about the scales right nowadays, right? Like this continuum. Some of your,
I don't know what you mean by that. Huh? I don't know what you mean by that. Your listeners probably don't know what you mean by that.
Oh, come on, in the meeting.
I don't know. No, I mean, what do you mean the scale? Like,
if you've been following the mainstream media, they're now saying, like, gender's not binary. There's a scale, right? You're somewhere on the scale. But it's actually true for partnerships, right? It's like a scale, right? I mean, the far extreme is you're married, you co-own a business, you are absolutely tied together at the hip, in it.
Yeah.
The other extreme is, right, you're just an employee. You show up, you collect your paycheck, you go home at the end of the day. And in between, there's all these gradations, right? I mean, you have some employees that almost start to look like partners, right? You're working with them. They're strategic. You're compensating them based on success. You plan to keep them around for a long term. I've got clients where, they have strategic employees own, basically a division of the business, right? They've created other LLCs and they've got somebody that co-owns one product line or whatever, right? So on this continuum, from this 50-50, we split everything, everything's equal, we're married or whatever, to you just show up for a paycheck. There's a lot of space in the middle for different styles of partnerships, depending on the circumstances.
Yeah. And I think that's really what I'd like to focus on before I give you the business side is that whether it's a contractual relationship, marriage, or in an LLC of some sort, those are contracted partnerships that are put in place to make sure that certain things are followed and you can't move and get out of them and do certain things. But by far, the most successful partnerships I have had are those that are of more of a, I guess what you said there, an employee partnership. Mm-hmm. And so I really thought hard about this and where I have been successful and where I have not been successful. And I've not flourished in the partnership under contractual relationships in businesses. When I've went into the business with the partnership in mind.
Okay.
And that's a personality thing. I'm probably more of a controller and that kind of thing.
Sure.
I have flourished with relationships that, like you talked about, that I call, we'd have to start with the word employee. Mm-hmm. I think every good leader knows that you only are as good as your employees.
Right.
And so why wouldn't you treat a non-contractual employee like a partner? They're not seeing the P&Ls. They're not seeing the money in and money out. But, they do control your image.
Absolutely. I mean, they are part of the brand. They're part of they're many times they're what most of your customers interact with, right? Depending on what level you are in a business, your customers, you spend more time interacting with your employees than with you.
So I'm very purposeful about not using the word employee. I don't know that any of my employees ever heard me call them employees unless they're watching this, and I just did it right there. But the point of the matter is they all feel like they have a say in their departments. They all feel responsible for the success of what they do. And the best thing we can do as employers and leaders is at least have in our mindset that these individuals are partners. Now, you have anything you want to say about that? Because then I want to talk about the contractual success, because it can be contractually successful.
Well, no, I think it's important, right? That we, kind of think about that, right? There's many grades of partnerships, right? And we think about people owning the business together, which is where I spend a lot of time, but there are other ways to bring people in, and you want to create that kind of incentive program, right? I mean, it sounds like you're recognizing the fact. I mean, a lot of your employees are responsible for the success of a segment of your business, responsible for success of a product line launch, etc. So, you want them to feel invested, like, hey, I got to figure this out, because not just because I'm kicking up a paycheck and I owe a duty to my employer because I'm getting a paycheck. I got to figure this out because it's in my best interest and it's going to lead to my long-term wealth, right? You want to kind of create that environment if you can.
Yeah, and you have a brand. Yep. You're our Shawn McBride, and you're working on freedom fighters and all the things you're doing in that regards. And if you got somebody out there not representing your name well, it proliferates through the community, and so you've got to. So I would challenge any leader, any owner, to be really focused on this concept of everybody that works with you is a partner. Yep. They're just as important as a partner. And I think that would really go a long ways.
Yeah, I think that's important too. One thing, I've been reminded of lately is, even sometimes, kind of the passing, relationships. You work with somebody on a small project.
Hey, I got to do something really awkward.
Okay.
I got to plug my computer in.
All right. Work on that while I make the point. Sometimes you'll have like a passing relationship with somebody. You do a small project with them. The problem is, from the outside, they don't know how big or how small that project is. It may be your main point of interaction with a third party. And to your point, Todd, everybody has a brand. And so when you're out there communicating who you are through your actions, through your whatever you're completing, people are associating that with your brand, whether it's the Wire Differently brand for Todd, the Do Business Differently brand for me, whatever the case is, people see even these smallest partnerships and they're associating with your brand. They're kind of building that picture of who you are, right? And your brand really is.
Yeah, and we put a lot of money. We put a lot of money into that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, it's not, your brand is not necessarily the letterhead, the logo, the website. Those are part of building your brand. Your brand is what people perceive you as. So all this other stuff gets factored into it too, right? We all know, we've all dealt with those companies at different times in our lives. Got a nice letterhead, they got a good slogan, but they can't get the work done, and you don't work with them. You work with somebody else because you don't trust their brand, right? Because their actions speak louder than their words.
Right. And so I really agree with that. And I'd hesitate to start any type of message or speech in regarding partnership without explaining really what a partner is. And we've kind of really done that. So now we would want to move into this whole legal realm of partnerships. And so I own approximately 14 organizations. One of them is significantly a nationwide organization, but I have companies in several states. And we're about between, depending on the market or whatever, we're a what do you call a 20 million plus organization. And so basically I'm in the business of building businesses and then holding them. And that's the Wired Differently business model. So if you're a listener, first time listener, I think you might want to know a little bit about me. I'm 56 years old and I've only had one job in my life. I've been an entrepreneur before it was cool or understood even what I was.
Sure.
So, when you have a life like that, you're living for the, not just the singles anymore. You're hitting for doubles, triples, and home runs. And you're trying to put all this package together, and you either eat one night or you don't eat one night. Nick Walenda, we were talking about it, and he goes, it's either the chicken or the feathers. One night you're eating chicken, and then the next night you're choking on the feathers because you have this existence of hope, right? Mm-hmm. This existence of more. This I'll sacrifice everything and anything to get to the greater side, and if I don't get to the greater side, then it's not because I didn't try. And so that's kind of the mentality I come from. And so some of us out there are not entrepreneurially wired. Some of us are more business people wired. And so the only reason I want to, explain that is that a business-minded person generally is somebody that wants to eliminate a little more risk than an entrepreneur. Can we agree on that? I don't know the variation.
I think that makes sense, and I mean, there's some line there, but I mean, I think there are some people that are more like managers. They are people that come in, they say, "Here's where the business is," and we run it and we keep building it. And then there's other people that say, "Hey, we're going to build something new. We're going to take a risk," right? It's different styles of leadership.
So my last business, I just built this burger franchise, and no one had ever done it that way on that location, that brand. There's no traffic numbers. There's not, it's just all instinctual. That's an entrepreneurial risk. But you got a business person who wants to do a burger stand. All he has to do is come up with $500,000 of liquid equity, and McDonald's will pick out a perfect corner for them, and they will make game. I mean, they'll make bank.
I haven't looked at McDonald's lately, but I mean, 10 or 15 years ago, I mean, it was almost automatic, right? You plunked down the change. They told you where to go. You went to Hamburger University, and you're making money, right?
It's beautiful. I mean, I've got one of my best friends owns 9 of them. I mean, and I'm not dissing on him at all. I'm just saying he knows the formula. All he has to do is raise the money and go through the steps. And not that there's no risk in it. There's very little risk compared to a guy like me who builds a food truck, creates a brand, invents a burger, and then sells it for $12. It's just a different mentality. So the reason I'm trying to say that is sometimes I think the business-minded person is a little easier to walk into a partnership because they're raising capital.
Right.
Yeah. Right. But an entrepreneur is less likely to do that because they're more concerned about will it work than if it makes money right away, because the money will come. So I guess what I would like to tell you from my perspective as an entrepreneur. So you have some business people listening out there and they're saying, well, I'm more like the McDonald's guy. You have some other guys saying, no, I want to invent, I'm going to beat Musk to Mars. Those are my people. But I would give you as the rule in business, because I do both. I see both. I have to see both. Is never enter into a partnership, contractual partnership, or even a verbal type of partnership with any person or entity unless they're doing something you can't do.
Right.
Because I felt like that's where I lost the most. When I bring these people in because I'm being kind, or they just, if I have the value, I don't want to bring in another decision maker.
No, I agree. And I talk about that. The best
because it's death to you until you do your part, no matter what.
Right. The best partnerships I see, people bring different things to the table, right? So, one's good at sales and one's good at operations. And they say, hey, we should do this together because you can be really good in operations. If you don't sell anything, you don't do anything. And you can be great at sales, but if you can't run the operations, the business falls apart. Those are strong partnerships, right? Where they both are bringing something different to the table. Again, your point, to underline your point, which is fantastic, which is you don't normally bring a partner in who can do what you do, right? There has to be a reason for it.
No, and I think I think capital is a good reason, but it's the last reason, because generally the idea person, has the blood for it. Mm-hmm. They end up towing the line, and then the money person loses the fact that they're just there for money, and then there's a challenge, and then you're looking at things you didn't carve out in your articles of incorporations and your bylaws, and it's a good way to really ruin a family relationship or a dear friend.
Right. The money and the idea partnerships are particularly tricky. They're a lot trickier than they seem on their face, because a lot of times you do get that kind of perception. The ideal person goes out and gets the money person, and depending on how sophisticated the lawyers are, the money person, they'll start putting provisions in there about maximum salary and what you can do and bonuses. And then the idea person feels like, well, now I've just turned into an employee, right?
Right. Exactly.
Person, and it kind of takes away the magic of it.
You know what? That word magic of partnership, or it's not the partnership magic, it's the idea of the entity magic. And I think that's probably one of the smarter things you've ever said. When
it happens once in a while.
Because it's smart, because I agree with it and I didn't think of it. But the word magic is really what all of us entrepreneurs are trying to create.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm going to use that in my third book. I think I'm writing it down right now.
Yeah, we both stumbled on the word magic. You know what? That was a word we stumbled on after we wrote our time management book. Was we started talking about we have the trademark time magicment for how to.
Oh, well, I won't use that then.
Well, you can use magic, but we and Shannon Gregg, we trademarked time magicment because as we started doing our lectures and meeting with clients, it evolved into time magicment.
Wow. Why is that in one of your books?
Yeah, the book It's About Time was actually preceded it. We wrote the book.
Where is it? You got a picture of it?
It's About Time. Yeah, I'll pull one up here while we're here. You keep talking, I'll pull it up.
Hey,
but yeah,
I'm going to keep talking, but I'm going to show you this one. Can you see it?
What you got?
No, it's not showing up.
Oh yeah, I see it.
This is my latest book.
I haven't even seen the latest book yet. Yes.
No, it hasn't been released.
Oh, okay. Well, that's why I haven't seen it yet.
Wonder if I could pull a picture up. Let's see if I have. Anyway, so yeah, I've seen that.
That's Business Blunders. That's the original.
No, that's the one I got. You signed that one for me.
My second book, It's About Time. I think I have a digital copy of the cover. I'm gonna pull that up here as we talk. Yeah, but so as we started talking, like I said, as we were talking about It's About Time and meeting with clients and developing materials, that's when really we stumbled into the concept of time management. The brand evolved.
Well, I'm my understanding when you told it to me, or I just heard it now, is this: we're all trying to create magic. Entrepreneurs are trying. A business person, you know, you're not creating magic in McDonald's. I'm not picking on McDonald's owners. That's tough work, tough business, good ROIs, great business decision. I'm all about them. But, you know, if you want to create a quadruple cheeseburger with bacon, onions, little pickles, lettuce, and a frog, you can't do it.
Yeah.
They won't let you. And I think there's a big demand for frog burgers out there.
Somewhere, I'm sure.
But McDonald's won't let me build my biggest, baddest, best burger, the frog burger. I'd put a little cheese on it, Velveeta cheese, which brings me to actually Tom's Donuts prime rib brisket burger. That's my franchise.
Okay, tell us about it.
Oh, it's amazing. It's a brisket prime rib burger, all beef hamburger with Velveeta cheese, just like you had it when you were a little boy, right? And we're doing about 300 burgers a day right now, Shawn. And so from an entrepreneur, did I take a partner in that? No. Why? Well, I didn't need one. Right. But what I did was build a partner. And so this is the last thing I want to talk to you. We got 3 partnerships I wanted to share with you. One was everybody's a partner in leadership, okay? 2 was the legal or contractual partner we could build on, all right? And we talked about that till death do us part.
Yep.
But the third partner that's been so successful for me is build a partner. So let's take the burger stand. So we have a highly successful brand called Tom's Donuts. We do 1,000 dozen a day. It's $16 a dozen. It's crazy, right? We've really Tom's Donuts Original.com. Google us, search us, the Facebook page. It's amazing stuff. All right. So then we proliferated the brand. So the brand went from Tom's Donuts. Then we reached out. We became Tom's Famous Coney Dogs. Now we got another brand, right?
Yep.
Then we built this beautiful food truck on the waterfront in Lake James, Indiana. That's just absolutely amazing. 9 boat docks, beautiful scenery and tables. And we created this new brand, Tom's Donuts Prime Rib Brisket Burgers. Yep. And last but not least, we added Tom's Custard Ice Cream. So we have 4 brands under the one brand.
Yep.
Now, but there's a lesson here. So each brand has created a new outlet for us, and they're not just thinking donuts. So that's an entrepreneurial move. But where I'm trying to get to is just like in PayServe Systems, my nationwide HCM.
Yep.
I build partners. So I don't technically go into the organizational start with a partner in my hip, but I hire employees in hopes to build some of them into legal partners.
Yes.
We can create that ownership. We can create that pride, and they can work their way into an equity stake, and I can move on to the next project.
Yes.
So those are your three.
I love that concept, at your stage, because you do have a couple established businesses and you're still growing them and you're doing the lecturing and speaking on, Wired differently. You're not going to be able to sit there and, flip the hamburgers at the food truck, right? You're going to need somebody else to kind of oversee the day-to-day operations.
We're going to have 20. How many we're going to have? We'll franchise. You're exactly right. You got to have that mindset prior. You can't go. Listen to me, friends. Everybody, you don't go into any business without a plan.
Yes.
And, like you don't go buy a house, right?
Yep.
And just buy it and let's say I'm never going to resell it. You go and buy the house. You may live there your whole life, but don't act like you're going to live there your whole life. Keep it up, fix it up, make it sellable, right? Any investment, any company. I mean, you build it to sell.
Right, exactly.
It's your choice if you want to sell it or not.
Yeah, it absolutely. And a house being a great example, right? I mean, you go in, and I don't know how other people did it, but I mean, I'm kind of a nerd, and before I buy a house, I build a spreadsheet, right? It's like, okay, how much am I paying? What's my down payment? What's my monthly payment going to be? And then what do I think it's going to sell for in whatever period of time, right? And you may not know the exact period of time, but at some point you're going to eventually sell that house, and you ought to be looking to that. And I brought up on the screen there's your cover of It's About Time. That's the time management book. And so time management's not actually in the book. What happened was, as we went out and gave presentations on it, worked with clients, did workshops on it, the concept of time management evolved, right? We learned that phrase, and that's what we did. So
I love that.
We trademarked it, and we've put a lot of materials out there talking about time management. In fact, we own that domain, timemanagement.com. That's where you'll see most of our materials on time management is timemanagement.com. But yes, and magic, you're right. I mean, I think it's an important word. It's what we're trying to create as entrepreneurs. We're really, we're like the alchemists, right? We're trying to bring all this stuff together and create something more valuable than the pieces we put together. And we got to figure out the formula for that.
Yeah. So back to the topic of partnership, not to beat it up, but you want magic in your product, and you will not have magic in your product if you don't have magic in your relationships. And so you need magic in your partnership to start the organization, and you have to be full on, just like a marriage. What is their love language? I mean, you can't be a jerk to your partner and expect your employees to know who to talk to, how to feel. You can't go out and have a life with, an entirely different, separate set of people and talk about your partner differently. It's work. Partnerships are work. Marriage is work. And so that's why Until Death Do Us Part is the title of, matter of fact, I'm going to do it on my next live now.
Yeah.
Good for thought. But that's why we need magic there. And then we need magic in our product. And we're never going to have magic in our product, as you discussed, without a magic in our partnership if you go that route. But on the third example, real quick, we have more control as entrepreneurs of the premise of the product early.
Mm-hmm.
And then your trial running partners in the process. You see how they think. You see how they manage. You see how they represent you. You reward them with equity.
Yeah, it's a growth opportunity, right? I mean, it's perfect, And so, in fact, that's one of the things we, it's just so many things collide, because you and I do think a lot alike, but we express it in different ways. I have the do business effectively triangle out there, and what it really talks about is building up your staff through a triangle, right? You have the lower part of the pyramid you have to build first, and then you build higher level functions. But the idea is, yes, you're trying to build somebody up potentially to be an executive level type thinking, right? And that takes time. And you there, Todd?
Yeah. Is that you?
Yeah, I think we had a power blip here, so the lights went down. I got everything, with batteries nowadays, so they keep rolling. But
as long as it's not me, man, I don't want to be the problem.
I think we had a power blip here. So, but yeah, so you build people up. And I love the idea of saying, hey, everybody's coming in with that possibility of moving into a higher level position. We just got to give them a chance to show who they are and develop and help them along the way. Everybody's a potential partner in the future, right?
Yeah, and if you're doing what I'm doing, building businesses, I mean, you're certainly not announcing that's what's going on, but I want to move on to the next deal. I want to move on to the next company. You know, I want to own 20 companies by a certain time. I've got to have a plan of succession and control. Did I lose you?
No, I'm here. I can hear you.
So that's where we're at, and I just really appreciate this forum. You do such a good job at including people. And you know what? You're very good at. We can only rise to our greatest weakness, and so most people just aren't aware what their weaknesses are. And I appreciate you. I'm not saying you have weaknesses. I could point out a few, but my point is this. I got more than you, but my point is this: you're very complimentary. Your show guests are complimentary to you, and then you actually acknowledge, and that's the whole idea of partnerships.
Yes,
you know you're weak in operations. Now there's a good partner, right?
Right. Yeah, that's it. You're right. You're looking for you're looking like you talked about symbiotic. You're looking to add to what you have, and I'm gonna.
And that's exactly why I married my wife.
There you go.
Because she was good in accounting and she could run a 10 key.
That's why you married her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
she was extremely hot and all those kind of things and nice. But
and so what I brought up
was going to balance out the business front, right?
This is an early draft of it. I can't find the pretty version of it on.
Where are we going? Is this Egypt?
This is a do business effectively pyramid that I use. And so my philosophy has been you train people on this early on, right? And so you start with the foundations of the pyramid: leadership, ethics, and community, right? These are the things that all businesses should rest upon, right? You need leadership in the community, and you have to have an ethical behavior. And from there, you build up the pyramid as you progress as an employee or a contributor in the business, right? You start with time management on the foundation, and also finding your uniqueness, right? That becomes part of core of your development. And then as your career progresses, you move up the pyramid. But you can see the second level of the pyramid is the promotability process, right? And that's talking to employees and discussing, what advances you here in the system, what gets you up to the next level.
Love it.
And then these are the steps you can go through, and we've ranked them for people. We train on it, but we also welcome people to use this thinking in their systems as well. But the idea here is, you have a map your employees should know. And you see right there exactly what you're talking about, Todd, is if somebody's doing a great job, you move them up to the top of the pyramid. You build executive skills, and then they can, become a leader of the business.
So which book is this in?
Haven't done a book on this one yet. We use it for training. We've put it out there. It's published on the internet, but we do some training programs on it, and I think we may eventually do a book on it. I haven't wrote the book on it yet. I have a draft started, but yeah.
Hey, since you're so fancy with StreamYard,
yes,
can you pull up my Wired Differently website?
Yes, I can. Give me just a second.
I know we didn't talk about this.
I can pull it up.
You're just going to promo my book.
I'll promo your book. Yeah.
And tell everybody how awesome I am.
You are awesome. I mean, I think they probably already figured that out.
I'll tell you what. I wasn't awesome in my last live show. You probably didn't see that. Did you see the show? I went nationally advertised on called "Racism is a Noun."
I did not see that.
Oh man. I had 400 comments in 3 days, and not one was nice. Uh-oh. Okay, there are a few nice ones.
Okay,
but I was not popular. All of it. All it said was racism is a noun. That's all I said. And there was like a kind of a spooky picture of me on the cover with green eyes. There we go.
Yeah, and I think.
And
being a leader sometimes, particularly in times of turbulence, sometimes means being unpopular, right? Because you're going to take a position. And
all right, hey Shawn.
Yes.
Click that purchase drift again. See if that works.
see here.
There you
There
go.
it is. Yes.
All right, now select the paperback.
Let's see
Let's
here.
see if
Choose
that
soft
works.
cover. Soft cover. Yes.
Yeah. All right, now what's next? Let's try the buy button, see if that works. Add to cart.
Add the cart.
All right.
We not only do we talk about partnerships here, we test websites. So.
All right, now check out.
Yes.
Okay. All right. You have a PayPal account? Just fill that out right here online, and your book will be there to you in a matter of days, Shawn.
Bam.
I was going to take you through the whole process, but I don't want you to look bad in front of your audience if you say you don't have the money to buy this book.
I will fill in my address and details later.
Oh, man, I had him. So, audience, I almost had him, but that's what you get when you try to trick a lawyer.
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of cool. I've never seen somebody try to do that before, but I'll make a note of that for the future.
Well, the accountants fall for it all the time.
Yeah, do they?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll try. I don't know. I just know.
Give people lawyers,
they both think they're the smartest guys in the room.
It's great. It's great though. There's a lot of value in your writing and your work, right? I mean, because I think you and I both have embraced that core philosophy of being different and unique in business, and then capitalizing on it rather than trying to, I don't know, check boxes or try to be like everybody else, because that's just going to lead with very average results.
Well, let me just go over the 3 type of partnerships I wanted to talk to you about today to make sure we don't run long or
let's do it.
You cut me off. So for the listener, I'll be going live with this actual conversation on my live show, which is Wired Differently Experience, and it's on my Facebook channel. It's on my personal Facebook channel, Todd Saylor, my Wired Differently Facebook page. It's actually on the Tom's Donuts page, and I'm on Spotify as the Wired Differently Experience. So the podcast, it's a great podcast series. You can go there. I'd love for you to do that. And I would really challenge everybody. I'm trying to build my YouTube channel, which is Todd Saylor, Wired Differently. Anybody's feeling gracious there, appreciate that. But here's the 3 partnerships. One is the employee partnership, where we talked about that it's not a binding legal, other than they sign an employment application, and it's just a handshake. It's just more of an attitude where you treat pretty much everybody in your life, for that matter, as partners. Why wouldn't we? God clearly says to love your neighbor as yourself, and so that is the concept between employee partnership or people. I would change that, Shawn, to people partnership.
People partnership. Okay.
Yeah, that's not the contractual type. But the second type we would talk about is till death do us part. That is the contractual side. That's the side that you say, I do, she says I do, he says I do, whatever, who's ever listening. And you get a document that says you are married. You get a document and you have articles of incorporation if you have a partnership, and it shows your equity side of it. And that's till death do you part. You have to go into it like that, and you have to follow rules, and you have to or there is consequences, financial consequences. You get a divorce, it's not cheap. Never done it. Been married 35 years.
That's good.
And right. So, but if you get a divorce, it costs you money. If you separate in a contract in a business environment, it costs you money. All right.
Yep.
And the last one, number 3, is the one I'd like for people to take away from me as a model for me. It's not for everybody, but it's this idea of trying to go into an entrepreneurial enterprise, knowing that someday you will want a partner.
Yep.
And then you pick that partner through the migration through the company. And I say you have your eyes on them early. Pacer Systems, I've had it for 25 years, and I have 2 people that are equity stakeholders in the company, and they were granted that equity through their work and sweat and landmarks.
Well, I think
those are the 3 I would like for everyone to understand, at least to focus on if you're starting a business or
I love the idea of having it out there, right? Like, you can build your way up, right? We're going to have criteria where it's not everybody's going to get there, but you know, it's tracked, you know, and it's a possibility. And for the right people to stand out, that's going to keep them, because the stars want to. They're going to start looking at other options, right? They're going to start, and you want to say, hey, this could be your long-term home. We can work together, right? So I love that idea of building to a partner.
Yeah, and more now than ever, you know, employees are hard.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, this environment that we've created is backfiring in some regards. And I don't, you know, this is my political view. And I did a talk the other day about employees right now, and they're really, without knowing it, they're uprising.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, these hourly employees, without knowing it, have created the world's biggest union. Mm-hmm. And now that, you know, and I don't think they're wrong. You know, why come back to work if I don't have to? And think about the guy or the woman who sat on the sidelines through COVID and made more money for doing nothing, right? And I'm not mad at them. No. I'm just saying they made more. Why come back when they left? Listen, when they left the workplace at $9 an hour, okay, and they sat back and collected $700, $600, $800 a week for doing nothing. I'm happy for them, right? Good job. Right, and what did they watch their hourly wages go to while they did nothing?
Yeah,
exactly. They were from $9, and the longer they sit out, the higher the hourly wage happens. My people went from $9 to $15.
Yep.
Just because they sat out.
Yep.
And I'm not upset. I'm just telling you a fact.
Math
that employee union by default was effective and worked.
Yep.
Congratulations. Come work for me. If you were at 9, I got you at 15 or 16. Give me a call. wiredifferently.com. I need you. We got the money to pay you. We want you.
Hired. Yeah.
Hired.
But no, the workplace has shifted, and it is a power shift, and that's always important to pay attention to, right?
Well, it gets me thinking. What if they just don't come back? And they, you know, I think that the working person found a sweet spot without really knowing it. I mean, this country cannot work without our hourly partners, which brings us back to that completely topic. Look how important they are. We got businesses in New York, all over restaurants. All they do is cry. We can't get anybody to work. We can't do it. We can't do it. We have to serve our own tables. We have, you know. Oh man, I'm sick of hearing it.
Yeah,
you know, that tells me right there, you know, how important the hourly person is. And you need to go up to number one, what we talked about today, employee partners, because you're not going to keep them unless you treat them like partners. Pay their ass. Pay them and raise your rates.
And it gives, but it brings it full circle, right? Which is a lot of people, as we talked about, that difference between, you know, our working title of the business owner, the one that just wants to go in and operate things and make money, versus the entrepreneur who wants to innovate. I think what we're seeing here, and a reason why there's a lot of discomfort right now, is a lot of business people are being forced to be entrepreneurs, right? Because no longer can you just have your set menu price in your restaurant, pay your employees a certain amount of money, pay your rent, and everything just works out at the end of the month, right? The equation changed, which means a lot of these people that are running a restaurant as a business, thinking it was just a straight input-output equation, now have to go back and re-examine. Well, my employees want more, which means I got to charge more for a cheeseburger. My customers won't pay more for a cheeseburger. You're in a box, right? Now you got to innovate. You got to figure out, how do I create a more valuable food? How do I create a better experience? How do I do it with less labor? You know, now a lot of people that were in the business side of the equation have been forced into the entrepreneur side of the equation because the math changed, the labor rates changed.
No, I mean, and I think rich people, I had this conversation at my house closing today, are jerks. Rich people are hard to tolerate. And I think a lot of rich people right now realize how vulnerable they are without the bourgeoisies.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, us, them, we need we need humbled sometimes. And I just think, this is a whole other topic, but I'd love to do a show with you on this because you're an intelligent man, and all these things that I'm living every day. My company sets are diverse. They're from a factoring company, insurance agency, a nationwide payroll service bureau, capital holdings in commercial buildings, residential buildings, a burger, a hot dog, ice cream, a donut. I mean, I can't think of a much more diverse, wired differently dude than myself. And so I would tell you this, it's happening. Wake up, rich dudes.
Yep, the world's shifting, and I think your partnership philosophy plays well to that. So, man, we brought out a lot of stuff today, Todd. Fantastic. Dropped your book. I think you put the Wire Differently name out there. Why don't you just wrap up by letting people know how the best way to connect with you and your work is?
Yeah, I just think really easily, just go to wireddifferently.com.
Yep.
Wireddifferently.com. If you want to remember one thing, you can get to Spotify, you can get to Facebook, you can get to YouTube from that website. The cover page on that website is my book, and there's a red box there that Shawn clicked, and he's committed to all of you that he was going to buy 10 books. He was afraid his credit card wouldn't work on national podcast. Yeah. So, but we almost had him, people. If you're out there, say, Shawn, come on, buy Todd's book. Right. He almost had you. So that's Wired. Wireddifferently.com. Wireddifferently.com. I'll come talk to your employees. I'll bring the book. We'll have a good time. We'll do whatever. You just get a hold of me, and we'll do something special. There you go.
Well, stay tuned, folks. So if you haven't done it yet, subscribe. This is the McBride for Business YouTube channel we're going out on today. We're going to be doing a series on partnerships. We do a lot of business management stuff here.
Shawn's great.
You've been on my Future Done Right channel a lot, which is about the future of business. We're doing this series on the McBride for Business YouTube channel. So subscribe to that, ring the bell for notifications, come hang out with us again. Keep in touch.
Shawn is one of the smartest men in the planet. I'm not joking. This is my serious face.
Keep in touch with us, guys, because we got more coming. We're going to do some more of these shows together. We're also talking about possibly doing some stuff live. And I've just threw up in the comment box for you watching, planningdoneright.com. That's my general website. Got a write-up about me, but most importantly, you can scroll down there, put your email address in. You'll get regular updates from me about events like this, what Todd's up to, what Todd and I are doing together.
Hey, Shawn, was this on my channel?
No, I don't have the rights to broadcast to your channel.
Oh.
So I can give you,
share it?
You can share it, yeah.
Wow,
share. Everybody else share it too. Tell your friend. Come hang out. We'll do some more content. If you have ideas, either partners that should come on the show, people have ideas on partnerships, or if you have ideas for guests or other stuff we can develop or topics you need us to cover, write into me, and we'll see if we can get them onto a future show. So, Todd, thank you, sir.
You're the best, Shawn. Until next time, until death do us apart.
There you go. Catch you all soon.